looking at the conversation regarding the mass exodus and a warning that has been put forth by PENGASSAN losing engineers to the international community due to reasons best known to them. They've highlighted poor remuneration and the likes as part of the reasons you would find engineers who are leaving the shores. Remember, we had a similar incidents with the medical sector as well.
Basically every field in Nigeria because of better remuneration. But let's give it one more attempt. We have Dr. Ifeanyi Eze, the National Industrial Relations Officer of PENGASSAN, join us this morning. Dr. Eze, my first question to you was, how bad is the situation? What's the state of play? Are we witnessing an exodus already, or is it something that is going to happen? Can you give us an update on the current situation with regards skilled professionals in your sector?
Yeah, like I was saying, is coming gradual. And I tried to reference it with what on the health sector. When we had the disparity, why between was different because highly professionalized system and people working with these resources like the medical doctors. So when the remuneration, the gap is so wide, people tend to move. Like now, they are moving. Gradually, they are moving, especially for those companies that have refused to actually adjust the salaries of their workers appropriately.
Well, the president of PENGASSAN, Comrade Festus Osifo, said a drilling engineer that does the same job in the US or Abu Dhabi would get a higher remuneration. Why are we paying them a fraction of what's obtainable globally? Using this as an example, why is the situation different here in Nigeria for remuneration of talent?
Well, you know, like every country per se, they pay based on their what is obtainable locally. Yes, the pay difference is, the gap is enormous, you know. For instance, when you're paying somebody, a highly professionalized person, like a drilling engineer, you're paying him like 10% of what he can get, not even Abu Dhabi. Gabon here, when you go to Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, you see them earning like a 400, 500, 600% higher than somebody working down in Nigeria here for some companies. So there is a tendency that they move. I know that especially in the services where you even need professionals, a lot of people, they've moved within the West African countries here, those that just found oil and they pay better. So the warning the president is giving now, yesterday, when we had the press conference, is that these companies should actually adjust their remuneration to avoid that movement so that we don't end up being like hospitals. As of today, ask most of the federal hospitals, they are looking for doctors to do residencies. They are moving. Even when they get the job, some of them within a year, too, they leave. So we don't want that to happen in oil and gas in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Eze, what is PENGASSAN doing to address this situation? And what is PENGASSAN expecting the government to do? We do understand that there's a review, we've asked for a review of wages and so on and so forth, but PENGASSAN in itself, what are you doing? What are the pointers you've put together to address this issue?
Part of what we are doing is like we did the press conference yesterday, that's one, and we've been engaging these companies individually. Like I mentioned, companies that are actually responding. you know that oil and gas business is dollarized and it takes international shape, you know. For instance, down in Nigeria here, we sell our goods in dollars and they pay workers in naira. And they're trying to reduce it to the level of maybe minimum wage or what people earn in Nigeria. They're trying to equate it that way, but it doesn't work that way. Because these people, we have some experts too that come to work from outside in Nigeria, and are well paid. You see somebody doing the same job with a Nigerian back to back. You do the same job like you are a drilling engineer. You take over from the experts. When I mean expert, I mean within the Asian countries, and the person is earning, like I mentioned before. You're earning just like about 10 or 20 or 30% of what the expert is earning. So those are the things we are fighting against. And of course, you know, not too long ago, you know what happened when some oil and gas workers tried to join union, and the treatment they got that actually caused to use one of our tools, and the nation, including the masses, who do not understand the nitty-gritty of oil and gas operation, didn't understand what was going on. But like we said, we will engage these companies and we will use any of our tools available to us that will make them understand that they make their gain, they make their money in dollars, and they should be able to, as much as is permissible, do the needful for the workers to see how they can match up between them and the experts that come here to work, and even when they live outside the country, so that all of them live.
Now, Doctor, yes.
I mean, I just wanted to follow up on that. I mean, I agree with you that it doesn't really look good when you have expatriates coming and Nigerians who know this job basically are earning less. But that particular issue, I want to ask, and I hope you believe that didn't start today. I mean, I do know of a similar instance where this has been in action for quite a long time, where expatriates earn bigger than those who are here who end up doing the same job. But do you think this is an internal problem, an indigenous problem, where a Nigerian or Nigeria is trying to ensure that they can short pay Nigerians and save more money, but don't do that to the expatriates, the international staff, if you put it that way? So do you think it's an indigenous problem? Therefore, the government can't really do anything until the companies have to solve it themselves? Dr. Eze?
Yeah, what I will tell you this morning is that our institutions are weak. They are. The regulators, the people that are meant to actually monitor these things and make sure they're implemented, somehow they are lagging behind. Let me put it that way. And for us, we've been in union for some time now, and we knew when most of these companies, we all fought for it to be nationalized, for Nigerians to take most of these companies and run them. And I will tell you of a truth as of today, that once this gets into the hand of Nigerians, there is problem. They pay, even as of today, most of the companies we're having problem with are the companies owned by Nigerians, run by Nigerians. You know, at times we wonder, this, for instance, we have a production company, have two production companies. Those that have an international touch tend to pay better, but they all produce. So you'd be wondering. And then again, when you want to agitate, or when workers want to ask, why is it like this? They will come hard on them because they know they can use all the institutions within the country to suppress the workers. Yes, it's been there for quite some time, but it's increased these days. You know, like I know in those days when we started, some of us refused to take a job outside the country. Even as a doctor then, I had a job in US. But when I looked at the difference between what I'm receiving here, you know, of course, by then you convert it to dollars and you say, no, there is no need living. But it can't happen because the disparity is alarming. And that's what we are calling the government, we are calling the institutions responsible for monitoring all this to look into it and make sure that the difference between Nigerians and the expatriates shouldn't be that wide. Yeah, I know. Considering too that they pay their flights, they pay their accommodation. At the end of the day, you discover that what they're even paying their Nigerian counterparts can just be for their accommodation and the flights. They pay for them. They still come and they do that. And when you talk and they refer you to one job, but they know that these jobs are different. They are not the same. The risks associated with it, the environment, and the skill is not what you just pick off a cutter along the road. So that's what we are saying about. We are engaging these companies, and we hope they should and we do the needful soon.
Dr. Eze, if you look at the Nigerian oil and gas sector, it's, when they put up adverts, it's one of the most sought after industries that Nigerians want to work in. And when you talk about this brain drain, a lot of people might be wondering what's really going on here, because they still feel, you know, people in this sector and well more than ordinary Nigerians in other sectors. My question to you is, are there effects to the oil and gas industry if this brain drain is not checked? What will be some of the resultant effects on the industry on this?
Yeah, if at the end of the day the highly skilled workers leave, if you recruit new people, yes, you're right. People want to come to oil and gas because on the average, they earn better than maybe public service and so on and so forth. But then the job too, they are different. The environment, the risk, like I mentioned earlier, they are not the same. But if you leave the highly skilled workers who are already working, that should actually train the ones you want to employ to leave. By the time those ones you've employed don't know what to do or the nitty-gritty or not well trained, you know, you can make a mistake. For instance, if you are on a drilling rig and you're not well trained, you blow up the rig. And these are the rigs that can cost as much as $400-500 million. So those are the risks you don't want to take. And you talk about pollution too, and you talk about people dying. So a little mistake can result to catastrophic consequence. So that is what we are saying, that the regulators, the Nigerian government, should make sure that these people do what is right within the industry. You know, every industry, they have their own way of managing their staff.
And finally, from a public relations perspective, what do you say to Nigerians that feel most labor unions, of course, the definition of a union is to look after the welfare and well-being of your own members. It's they say your unions are very selfish, and you look and most of the things you fight for is for your own pocket without considering the cost to Nigerians in general and how the greater good. How do you respond to that? And case in point was this last dispute NUPENG and PENGASSAN had with the Dangote refinery.
You're quite correct. You see, the information the public have as regards to unionism is very poor. You know, the point is that to even start with, do you know that I will tell you that more than 70 to 80% of Nigerians today, they don't know the difference between NUPENG and PENGASSAN. They treat them in one swoop. They don't know the difference between TUC and NLC. That is even the slightest you can talk about. But then now let's look at it this way. What is the major function of union? Is to make sure that the workers, their members, don't lose their jobs, even if they will do not unfairly, and their welfare taken care of. That is their number one function. Just like we said that the number one function of government is security and life of citizens. That's the number one function of law movement. For that, when you look at the place of labor, as a united labor, it has to be. There are less than maybe 3-4% of the population. And in the past, when there is labor pronounces that is going to have a strike, for instance, you see everybody coming to the street, market man, where the car drivers, the taxi drivers, all the people that support them. But in the recent time, you discover that we don't get that support. So if you don't get that support, you wouldn't want to put yourself in harm's way, because what the government will do is that because they know you don't have that support, or people are not numerous enough to withstand them, they will go after the labor leaders or go after labor. So it's not that we are selfish, we are taking care of ourselves alone. No, we don't. Because we know that there are some decisions government has made in the recent past, and we came up and criticized. I remember the 5%. You know, we did a press conference on that when government wanted to put 5% tax on this in petroleum product. We did that. So that's an example of what we've been doing. But then the public should know that our major function is to look after our workers. Then we can extend it to the public. And I urge the populace, the Nigerian citizens, that when we come out to say, no, government, this policy is not correct, they should come and support us. So we have backing. We have the strength to withstand any obnoxious law or policy from government.
All right. I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Ifeanyi Eze, National Industrial Relations Officer for PENGASSAN. Thanks for your time and clearing the air on this issue. We look forward to talk to you again. Thanks for your time.